Good afternoon. Imagine that you are a fisherman arriving at your favorite spot to fish. Except today, the river is bubbling, grayish and black, with fish floating lifeless on the surface. That was a news report of a local on the scene of what became called one of the largest inland oil spills in US history. It happened downstate in Michigan, and it was near the Kalamazoo River. It happened in July 2010. As a blogger who is experienced in journalism, I do a lot of research on subjects I'm interested in. I keep links and quotes, and I have files. I've read and done research for dozens of hours on the energy sector, including impacts that the oil industry has on the environment and human health. Today, I'm here to talk to you about the societal, environmental, and legal implications of fast-tracked oil pipelines under the Trump administration. I want to start by giving you some background information on the stories and the lives of people affected by oil infrastructure, starting with the Dakota Access Pipeline protests, which began in 2016. Then I want to discuss a company called Enbridge Energy Partnership, which is a big company in this region in particular. I want to discuss the dangers of oil to humans and to society. And finally, I want to overview a legal battle that has been raging in the background, differently depending on who has been the president at the time. I believe stories are about people. There's people in every story. And these are some pictures of people who were involved in the DAPL protests in 2016. The DAPL started in April when some Standing Rock Native youth started a movement of respecting water and said no to the oil pipeline. Over the months and years, the people seen here are seen in front of what became looking like kind of like a war zone, and they were very proud of what they were doing to stop these people from coming onto what was actually disputed land between the government and certain native tribes. Certain native tribes said that they had sacred burial grounds there, and there was YouTube footage of bulldozers moving on that ground, and a lot of people were upset. So a lot of people came from all around the country to back up these folks down there, and this project crossed a lot of easements, as you can see here, 131 US FWS wetland easements. The project used no data except for desktop analysis, which is shoddy at best. They only said that one alternate option is available, which is one other route that also crosses 118 easements, and no action would mean another company could scoop up such a contract. So they were afraid of not putting a pipeline there for the sake of profit and for their company. And a lot of people stood in their way. The Army Corps of Engineers had to have a say in it. Armed soldiers and riot police eventually cleared the camps, but Obama denied the permit under the Missouri River, citing safety to the underwater pipeline that was going to go there. But with the new administration, suddenly things became fast-tracked and rushed through, and we're going to use the same amount of safety but in less time. But the way they went about doing that became highly speculative, and we'll get to that in a bit. But recently in the news, and this year, the Sioux tribe is back in court over the pipeline because of the decision that the Army Corps made. I want to tell another story, and it's about a company that's been operating here a long time. In July of 2010, Line 6B, belonging to Enbridge Energy Limited Partnership, ruptured, and nearly 840,000 gallons of diluted bitumen flew 38 miles downstream to the Kalamazoo River. That was one of the largest inland oil spills in US history that I was speaking about. In response to the spill, a lot of agencies levied a lot of fines, and Enbridge had to meet a lot of obligations, but the cleanup was ongoing and very difficult, and the environment was destroyed, not just temporarily, but I would argue permanently in some ways. Another angle to this is that the lives of the activists were opposed by the company, the government, and security agencies who used up to and including counterterrorism to clear them from the path of the building of infrastructure. In this process, Montana even sued itself. They said that there was a lack of economic need and an enormous impact on indigenous rights and the environment. The White Earth Nation tribe had a treaty in 1855 that protected their wild rice. And oil operations threatened that wild rice and have threatened and did destroy that wild rice. And so they went to court battles about it. Enbridge delayed the inevitable building of the pipeline, and then they replaced line 3 with a new pipeline. These people wanted to stop it from flowing, but they got it to flow anyway. Well, okay, so what's the problem with all this? A study in 2008 shows environmental risks of oil and gas exploration. And they conclude that the exploration poses long and short-term environmental risks. They cite toxic constituents to the fluid of drilling, including arsenic, chromium, cadmium, lead, mercury, and naturally occurring radioactive materials that, if not contained properly, could all find their way into the environment. A study in 2009 on the impact of oil spills and the exposures to human health reviewed a wide array of literature, and they concluded that most of the studies available only talk about, they only talk about behavioral health. They're only somewhat useful for determining acute and chronic illnesses as related to oil exposure. And these folks say that a lot more study is needed to determine the short and long-term health effects of the oil industry. That to me was shocking, that such little is known about impacts to human life and to humanity and human society. A 2009 study revealed data and numbers on oil spills. And here's these charts here to show you the frequency of what they call liquid accidents, liquid spill accidents, across 4 different years. And the type of accidents is crude oil, 35%. That's the leading figure. So crude oil is the largest threat for leaking, and it happens a lot. I'm gonna show one more graph from them. What's the big cause of these spills? Corrosion. We use metal for pipes. And until we stop doing that, which isn't going to happen in the foreseeable future, corrosion is going to continue happening and causing oil spills. That seems logical, right? But legal implications. Under the Trump administration, the Clean Water Act and the National Environmental Protection Act have been slashed. This map shows just how many waters are losing their protection. All of these ones in brown are losing protection. All the ones in red are intermittent bodies of water. That means that they flow less than 50% of the year. They will lose clean water Act protections under this proposal. I'll just tell you the proposal was accepted as far as I remember, but don't quote me on that. They definitely did slash the NEPA, which wants to use Fed land for mining and drilling. That's a huge irony because a lot of that land was taken by the Fed to protect it from drilling in the first place. This uses loopholes and fast tracks policies to allow assessments to be written by corporations and then accepted really quickly. So, what are the solutions? If you, like me, oppose this, you would hope that Congress would act. If not, we should contact our representatives and ask them to act, or elect representatives that will act, or become those representatives that you want to elect. That's my speech. Thank you for listening.